Hi, I'm Gloria Paul, founder of AGreenerClean, and I founded my cleaning company 15 years ago. And we do not have an office. So you would think, okay, I am servicing, let's see, over 100 repeat clients at this point. We've been in business for a while. We are established and structured, and I've got about 10 team members working, employees, and you would think, okay, gosh, by now she should have an office, right? Wrong. It's not for us. And I'll tell you why. Geographically, it does not make sense the way I have figured out our service areas of where we work. It just to have a central location and then send them out in such a radius, would say from, if you're pretending like there's a map right here, right? And there's a big metropolitan city right down here, okay, of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we started up here, about 40 miles north of there. Over the years, we've kind of been going south, right? And this past year actually started working in Charlotte in some neighborhoods. And so what I've been doing, my strategy is hiring employees that work around those towns that have been busy in and getting a lot of demand for, and building teams that way, dispatching employees straight from their homes. I'm not having to pay their drive time to and from the office, and they just go from their home. And of course I'm paying them for the whole day, but we aren't going picking up supplies, bringing supplies back home at the end of the day. They all take their supplies home with them. It's just more efficient, spending less on gas, less running around. Now, you might be wondering, how are they getting restocked on different chemicals or consumables like the paper towels, sponges, all that, right? What we do is we rent mini storage units to store our cleaning supplies, extra vacuum cleaners, all that kind of stuff. We put it in our mini storage units, and there's 2 different locations that we have. And we also, depending on what they need, if they just were in need of a feather duster, for example, I will drop ship that from Amazon to their home. And then now they're not having to drive to the mini storage to pick up another duster, for example. So it just depends on what they need. And we, try to handle it in the most efficient way possible. Rent here in North Carolina is crazy. I did rent an office 2 different occasions. In 2019, I was spending about $400 a month for 2 very small rooms, but I did have parking in a parking lot for us to park at and carpool. And at the time, we did have a company vehicle. As of now, I drive the company vehicle, and that's about it. So we don't have we don't have that need for parking, etc. Right now, it is nice. Sometimes the girls do carpool, and I encourage that. That's the only kind of downside of not having a specific space to meet up at, is when we're trying to carpool. Like, that is the only downside to me, really. Besides the fact of not getting to see everybody's pretty faces every day. I do encourage a lot of participation in our Signal app group chat. We share photos with each other, what's going on. We got so-and-so over here to deep clean. We're clapping for each other virtually. We're sharing before and after pictures, and I, congratulate the teams on getting the good Google reviews, for example, and stuff like that, trying to keep the camaraderie going and team spirit. I aim to do meetups once a month. Some months we do get really busy, and I don't, kind of miss that. But that is my goal, is to once a month we meet up, like at a Dunkin' Donuts or another type of like coffee shop. I buy breakfast for everybody, and we just hang out for a few minutes. Maybe we go over a few like business things, like briefly, but for most part it's just kind of a social, get to see everybody. Because like I said, since I'm sending teams out specifically near like where they are from, they're not seeing some of the other girls that live farther away. They're not seeing them on a regular basis. So it is nice to once a month kind of meet up with everybody. And there Mostly we can get everybody to come to that. I try to, but sometimes like maybe one or two people can't show up for that. Just depends on what we got going on or if somebody had the day off or something. I try to plan it on days when everyone's working, and then we can all, I do pay them, for the time there while we're having our little meeting. So that's what works for us. And this economy, rent is expensive. It don't feel, if you have a business, and whether it's a cleaning business or not, and you do not need to have a physical location, I would tell you to not stress about it. A lot of the experts out there who coach and give, advice for cleaning companies will tell you to do things a certain way, and I'm not talking about just for renting an office, but there are other standards, whether it's always send teams of 2 versus solo cleaners are more profitable. You've got to figure out what works for your company, your goals, and your teams. So for us, this works for my company and my teams. Maybe for you, having an office, it makes the most logical sense. But that is my advice if you're a business owner out there, is to just not worry about what everybody else is doing. It's nice to learn what everyone else is doing, but at the end of the day, just figure out what is going to get you the results you want.